Shalom, all praises due to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elect apostle, bishops, elders at Great Millstone and Ruel. Shalom to like Akia out there doing works and serving in truth and not for vain glory, in season, out of season, few sisters. All right, so I'm bring out an old classic. Okay, this is Revelation 13th chapter. And we get straight to it. Start at the 10th verse. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. You know, so we as the nation of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, scattered in North, South, Central America, in the Caribbean islands, and all over the earth. Okay, we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. The book of James goes into that, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greetings. Okay, so, you know, we as the nation of Israel, we are in captivity under the so-called white man. Okay. His biblical name is Esau, all right, and Edom, and those names have meanings to them, okay, just like the name Israel has meaning to it, all right. Esau, Ishashawa in the Hebrew, means wasted away is he, because he has no pigmentation, he has no melanin. Okay, his blood shows forth through his skin. You know, like Apostle Tahar said, he's see-through. He's translucent. Okay. Whereas the dark nations, or nations that have melanin, okay, which is swarthy. The word swarthy means black. All right. But we're brown. Different shades of brown, you know, our blood doesn't show forth through our skin. But in the situation with the so-called white man, okay, all right, his blood shows forth through his skin, all right. So Edom, Adawam means red, okay, because of his blood that's showing forth through his skin, all right. Israel in the Hebrew, Yasha Allah. Yah means he, Shah means prince, Allah means power. Okay. He is the prince of the power. All right. So Israel is the prince of the power. Okay. The prince of the Most High, you know. So, you know, you so-called Negroes, West Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, all right, Ecuadorians, Panamanians, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, so-called Mexicans, so-called Dominicans, so-called Colombians, you know, you're the Lord's chosen people. And you've been led into captivity under the so-called white man. Okay? You know, and it's very simple to understand, but you have to be of the elect to understand, you know. And, you know, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai has to open your mind to this understanding that you were led into captivity under the so-called white man, and that he's going to go into captivity under you. Okay? So it says, he that leadeth into captivity The he is talking about the so-called white man. Captivity represents slavery. Okay? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And it's very simple. It's very basic, but it says a lot, to the men of the nation of Israel that's coming back and returning to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. That's returning back to the nationality, the true nationality, which is you are Israelite, okay? Of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. The so-called black man being the Jew, the only Jew, according to the Bible, okay? Not those Amalekites running around in Israel calling themselves the Jews. They call themselves Jewish, but they're not the real Jews. Okay, so for those that understand this scripture, all right, and the whole Bible, really, but those who understand this scripture, okay, so the so-called white man led you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans into captivity, and now he's going to go into captivity, okay, under you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right? He that leadeth into captivity, which is slavery, shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And what was so-called white man's blessing? The sword. Now, back then, they had a sword made out of steel, okay? But now this sword is the gun, all right? And at a certain time in history, they started using a gun, okay? All right? Even in time, certain period of times of slavery, you had cannons, they had the Gatling gun, all right? They had muskets, okay? That's his blessing, all right? That's the so-called white man's blessing. But he's going to get killed with the sword, all right? All right? He's going to get that destruction, okay? All right? So it says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Here's the patience, okay, and the faith of the saints. So we have faith that this actually is going to take place. 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're just different levels. You got guys that came into the truth and left out. You got your dudes that's bearing arms, like the new Black Panther Party movement. They got guns and they figure they're gonna take the white man Esau down with the gun, which is the gun. The gun is the modern day sword. They don't like white people either. Okay, so there's different levels of the 2/3, but they all the 2/3 nevertheless. Okay, because you can't take the so-called white man down with the gun, with the sword. That's his blessing. Okay, you got your Hotepas, black consciousness movements, Pan-Africanisms. You got your Muslims. You got the Nation of Islam. You got your 5%ers. But for the most part, you got your Christians, okay? You got so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans that are part of churches, you know, and for the most part, they're all a part of the 2/3, unless in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, bring them out of that. But for the most part, the majority of them are the 2/3, because the scriptures speak about a remnant, okay, that's going to be delivered in the time of Jacob's trouble. And what's the time of Jacob's trouble? The time that we're living in now. Okay, all right. So, and it's really going to be the time when, all hell's going to break loose. Okay, a famine is going to come of the word first. Famine of the word is what? The when Westers not out there teaching anymore. Okay, all right. So there's going to be no breakdowns. You got to get it now. There's going to be no answers. People are going to want answers, when adversity comes, but they're not going to be able to find it. When there's a famine, when there's a lack of food, okay, concentration camps in full effect, people being caught off into concentration camps, it's cannibalism, it's deadly diseases, that's the time of Jacob's trouble. Also them coming against the men of the Lord, but, people are going to want answers, but they're not going to be able to find it, but the faith of the saints is what's going to keep the saints, which the saints are Israelites, okay? The elect of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? Which is all Israel, even the 2/3, because they're going to come back in the kingdom as well. But, they're going to come back through the 1/3, okay? Like the scriptures say, 2/3 shall be cut off therein and die, saying that verbatim, okay? But the saints are the Israelites. The saints are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Yeah, all right? And this is the faith of the saints, that the so-called white man is going to pay for what he did to the Lord's chosen people, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So that rings loud to the elect of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because now you know that there's going to be a recompense. The word recompense means payback. Okay? Payback for what? For the so-called white man putting you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in slavery. All right? So, and it rings heavy to the so-called white man when he hears the scripture, when he hears the one Westers, as Vocab Malone coined. I believe he coined that phrase, the one Westers. When it camps out there on the highways and byways, on the street corners, in these cities and all over the world, by the way. You got camps all over the world, not just GMS, IUIC, ISUPK, okay? Those are the major groups, but you got other camps too, okay? And they all stem from One West, the way they teach, the way they go out on the street corners and teach the Bible, okay? Out there teaching the scripture, and teaching the scriptures, so it rings loud to the so-called white man when he hears the scripture, and he don't want to deal with this. He doesn't want to deal with the fact that he's going to have to go into slavery, like he put the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in slavery, okay? But it's unavoidable. because it's prophecy. Okay? All right? It's prophecy. It's prophesied that the so-called white man is going to go into slavery under who? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Just like he put you in slavery. Okay? This is the faith of the saints. So we have faith and we believe wholeheartedly with all our heart, which is your mind, by the way. Okay? Certain parts in the scriptures. You have scriptures that literally is your heart, your physical heart. You have scriptures that says your heart, that's spiritually, meaning your mind. So we believe in our mind that the so-called white man is going to go into slavery under so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? Under Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay? Yahweh is the Most High. Yahweh Shai is whom the world calls Christ. Okay? Which I even hate saying the name Christ, because that's not his name. His name is Yahweh Shai. Okay? And he's going to come. And he's going to bring the destruction of America and of all so-called white people and put them in slavery. And who's going to be right under Yahweh Shai? The nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? And this is the faith of the saints. Okay? So it says a lot, you know. It says a lot, you know what I'm saying? You know, it says a lot to the elect of the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, returning to your true nationality, returning back to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And it says a lot to the so-called white man. That's in rulership. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's the wicked? The wicked is the so-called white man. He put you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in slavery. He is going into slavery. Okay? So I hope you've been edified. And with that, shalom.